The Terminally Ill Adults End-of-Life Bill. What is assisted dying? Terminology is important, and when we talk about assisted dying, what we're really talking about is assisted suicide. Assisted suicide is making it legal to help someone else to end their own life. It's important to understand what assisted dying is not. So when we talk about assisted dying, we're not talking about palliative care. We're not talking about making people comfortable at the end of their life. And we're not talking about giving drugs to take away pain or other symptoms. We're not talking about withdrawing treatment. We're not talking about stopping drugs or medication. We're not talking about people stopping eating and drinking. And we're not talking about do not resuscitate orders or not resuscitating people who are terminally ill. It's actually currently legal to withdraw treatment. It's currently legal to give people medications. It's currently legal to stop treatment. It's currently legal not to resuscitate people. So it's really important to understand what assisted dying isn't. So what are the arguments for assisted dying? Those people who want this bill to go through talk about individual autonomy, the relief of suffering, the right to make personal decisions about one's life and death, dying with dignity and control. They consider it a human right. Legalizing assisted dying provides a compassionate option for those facing unbearable suffering, they tell us. So they think dignity in death, pain-free death, and choosing their time of their death. But many of these arguments are just an illusion. Dignity in death can be achieved by good palliative care. A pain-free death can be achieved by good palliative care, but it's not guaranteed to be a pain-free death by assisted suicide. And death by assisted suicide can take hours or sometimes even days using the assisted suicide medications that are currently in use in some other countries. The arguments are an illusion. So what are the arguments against assisted dying? First of all, we need to think about suicide. What we're talking about here is assisted suicide, and we all know that suicide affects everyone, not just the person that sadly passes away. And legalizing suicide changed the whole moral compass of our country. Suicide changes the doctor-patient relationship. Patients become afraid that the doctor may be trying to kill them, and suicide leaves more distress in society than it's likely to relieve. Assisted suicide leaves some people feeling that maybe they're a burden on society, and some people will feel pressure to end their lives who would have never considered that if it had not been a legal option. And we've got to understand that coercion is very real. And coercion can be external or it can be internal, or it can be imaginary. There's really just no coercion there, but the person themselves feels that it's just perhaps it's the right thing to do because somebody else wants them to do it when that person doesn't even want them to do it. Many people with disabilities already feel that society thinks that they would be better off dead, and that's really sad. It's not how it should be. And whether you have or haven't got disabilities, you have value and you have purpose, and this bill will really change the way that people feel about themselves. It's impossible to predict with accuracy if death is likely to be within 6 months, and there are many examples of people who've lived years and years after being told that they would die in the next 6 months. Many people, when they get a diagnosis, feel very anxious, depressed and scared, particularly if that diagnosis appears to be life-limiting, and especially if they're told that they're probably going to die in 6 months. But many people over time adjust to that diagnosis and are very grateful for every day of life that they live. So what are the arguments against the assisted dying bill? The bill in its current form is of concern to many people who agree with assisted dying in principle. One of the reasons is because the bill has very few safeguards. Many sensible amendments to improve safeguards were rejected at the committee stage, and what appear to be safeguards are often just an illusion. Family don't have to be informed. There's no right of appeal or means for anyone to stop an assisted suicide if they believe there was coercion or lack of capacity. The only right of appeal is if assisted suicide is denied. The people who decide will be a panel of people who will all likely be in favour of assisted dying, or else they'd never volunteer to join a panel. So they're very unlikely to challenge the reasons why the person wants to die or offer any alternatives such as better palliative care or financial support. The committee stage didn't really properly listen to the concerns of doctors and disability rights campaigners. The Royal College of Psychiatrists has spoken against the current bill, and there are concerns that people with learning disabilities may not have capacity to make a decision on assisted dying, and they're not safeguarded. There are even concerns that people with anorexia may be eligible, as some will have a prognosis of less than 6 months to live. So let's have a look and see what's happened in other countries where assisted suicide or medically assisted deaths are legal. In Holland, 5.4% of all deaths are by euthanasia, and it's very similar in Canada. And in Belgium, we've got to the point where 47% of assisted deaths are not even reported. In Oregon, 54% of people who died felt that they were a burden to society, and even conditions such as diabetes could be considered a terminal illness and a reason for suicide. In Canada, we have examples of individuals who really should not have qualified for medically assisted dying, but due to their social circumstances or other reasons, like, for example, Christine was offered medically assisted dying when she requested a wheelchair lift. And there's many individual cases where really, if people had been offered the correct financial, social and medical support, they would have never ever considered the need to kill themselves. If you are an MP and you have watched this, thank you for watching to the end, and please vote against this bill. Please choose life.